Hello, viewers. I'm that your friend, Reverend Father Michael Obudu, a Catholic priest of the Diocese of Warri, a priest who is so passionate about farming. Presently, I'm in my poultry farm, and I'm here to talk about certain things as we prepare for the festive season. Now, this advice is actually for my fellow farmers. I know we're already preparing our bed for the festive season. So many of us, we've gone to carry day hoods, some have booked. But there are some diseases we must watch out for if our beds must get to the festive season, as we train all these birds. The first of them I'm going to discuss about is what we call the viral diseases. The viral diseases are killer diseases that we must wage war with if our beds must get to the festive season. There are about 3 in numbers I'm going to discuss in this video. One of them is what we call the Newcastle disease. The second of them is what we call the Gumboro disease. And also, the third of them is the fowl pox disease. These 3 viral diseases are killer diseases that if they attack your birds, they can destroy your birds, and your birds can never get to that your target, which is the festive season. So for us to wage war against these viral diseases, there are some vaccines you must administer to your birds for them not to be attacked by these diseases. For the Newcastle disease, you give the vaccine we call Lasota vaccine. First week after your birds arrive your farm. The second week, you give what they call the Gumboro vaccine. And the third week, you give the Lasota. The fourth week, you give the last Gumboro. That is, you are going to administer the vaccine to fight the viral disease called Gumboro twice. Then you administer also the Lasota to fight against the Newcastle disease. Thereafter, you give the vaccine we call fowl pox vaccine. All of this you do a week interval. In between, you administer vitamin, antibiotics, and ordinary water to give to your birds to have strength. There is also what we call the bacterial disease known as coccidiosis. This disease is also a killer disease that we must watch out for as we prepare our birds for the festive season. The coccidiosis is actually a disease that attacks your birds if your pen is not clean. In the sense that if the litter is dirty, the drinkers are dirty, the feeders are dirty. These are breeding grounds for this bacteria called coccidiosis. And if it attacks your bird, it's a killer disease. And in what way can we prevent this disease called coccidiosis? One of them is hygiene. You must be neat. As a farmer, your farm must be neat. The drinkers, you must wash daily before giving them water. The feeders, you must clean before putting feed. By doing all this, the litter, you must put fresh sawdust. If you notice that the litter is already getting dirty, the sawdust is already getting caked, you must clean it and put fresh. By doing this, you prevent the bacterial coccidiosis 75% from coming into your farm. And another way in which we can prevent this disease also from coming into our farm is by giving what we call regular medication to prevent this bacterial disease called coccidiosis. Coccidiosis is actually a killer disease, like what I said. So by preventing it, you give your birds the medication. They will have different kind of coccidiosis medication there in the market. You go and ask, and you give routine medication to to what? To flush the system of the birds if your birds must get to the festive season. And lastly, there is what we call CROD that we must watch out for. The C stands for chronic, R stands for respiratory, and D stands for disease. CROD. Now this disease is caused by also dirty environment. For example, if your farm is not having good ventilation, your birds will suffer from CROD. Secondly, if your birds are not